Let's make the call to the bullpen and welcome in Britt Ghiroli. Britt, how do you think the Mets look in comparison to the rest of the National League?
Well, guys, what's unfortunate is it looks like the National League looks like the varsity squad, and the American League, it looks like it's shaping up to be JV. The Mets are, in my mind, a top four baseball team, but the top three teams ahead of them might also be in the National League, right? I think everyone knows what the Dodgers are capable of, but no one is talking enough, in my opinion, about what the Atlanta Braves can do, and certainly the Phillies. And unfortunately, those teams are in the NL East with the Mets. Projections right now have the Mets finishing below both of those teams. But I think when you look at what's going on in terms of expanded playoffs, and the Mets are a great example of this, all they have to do is get in and get hot, and that's what happened to them last year. So I'm looking at it as this is a team that got better. They got Juan Soto. David Stearns, I think, is really adapting to the role. Will did a great job recently profiling how much more aggressive Stearns has been since he's gotten to New York. And they have, as you said, Sal, an owner who won't tolerate being second class. So they're going to make the moves necessary. They're going to go all in. So I think the Mets, as I predicted already, could be a World Series caliber team. I think they are a dangerous team. The pitching is a question mark right now, but they do have the necessary components in a savvy GM and an owner willing to open up that wallet and go out and fix those holes if they exist in July. So I think the vibes are really high coming out of spring training, and I think having Juan Soto is going to galvanize this fan base even more so than last year's playoff run. This is one of the best players in baseball. You talked about what Nimmo said. Juan Soto is not going to be afraid to say those kinds of things either. I think he's been a fantastic addition, and it's only going to get better.
All right, certainly a lot there from Britt. And what's the biggest X factor to the Mets having a successful season?
Well, Britt kind of alluded to this. I think it's the trade deadline, Sal. I think they're set up to be a really, really good team this year. But to get to where they want to be, I think that they need a little extra push. And I think that's going to come in July because I think their pitching is a little shy as currently constructed. Injuries have obviously played a part in that. But I think that they can be better and do better in the rotation. And I think that's up to David Stearns. And look, guys, I have faith in Stearns that he'll make the necessary move. Will they need to bring in an ace-level pitcher at that time? Yeah, I think that might be something that should be on the horizon for them, and Stearns will be aggressive enough to do it.
That's a big one for me, but I'm looking at it more so as what don't I know about this team that I want to find out? That's how I view X Factor. I already know what I'm getting from that pitching staff, maybe beyond Kodai Senga. I feel like they have some depth guys. It'll be okay. It'll be okay until maybe they get to the deadline like you're saying. For me, what I don't know is the production they're getting out of second base and catcher. They're starting the season with the incumbent guys on the IL, Jeff McNeil, Francisco Alvarez. And when those guys come back, it's a question mark. It should be a short-term situation for both of those guys, but they're also coming off of uneven seasons, to put it mildly. So I don't really know exactly the level of production that they're getting from those guys and from those positions as a whole, because there's a lot of intrigue at second base as well. You're talking about Brett Beatty being in the mix there to start the year, perhaps Luis Angel Acuna. Maybe they go out and get somebody to pair with Brett Beatty that we don't know about yet. We'll see. But there's a lot of intrigue there. I don't know what I'm getting from those guys or those positions. So for me, that's my X factor.
Britt, what do you think? What's the biggest X factor for the Mets here having a successful season?
Those were good ones, guys, but what about Clay Holmes? Nobody knows what he's going to do in that rotation, and we talk about how much of a question mark this pitching staff's going to be. I think obviously you're still wondering what you're going to get out of Kodai Senga. Sean Manaea, when he comes off the IL, can he replicate the success he had with the Mets previously? But to me, Clay Holmes, what are we going to see here? I mean, I've seen predictions where people have said he could be an all-star. I think innings are going to be a little bit of an issue because obviously he was a reliever before this, so they're going to manage his workload. But if he emerges as better than they thought he was going to be, that could go a long ways in helping solve what we all can agree on is a little bit of a pitching uncertainty right now.